to look at then is this, just what I just talked about, this question of implicit memory, okay? We're going to do an exercise right now, and I'm going to ask for 3 volunteers, and I'll guarantee that, number one, you're going to feel uncomfortable, maybe for a few minutes, and number 2, that you're going to learn a lot about yourself, okay? So that's the deal here. So I'm going to ask all of you to actually think about this. I want you to think about the last time you're really upset with somebody in your life. That could be at work, could be one of your, the people that your clients, could be a fellow worker, could be your boss, could be somebody in your relationship with, your partner or spouse or friend or brother or sister or mother, I don't care who. But what was, actually let's leave the parents out of it. This complicates things a bit much. So just think of the last time you're really upset with somebody in your life, okay? So I'm requesting that all of you think of such incident. Not the last time, but something recent that you're willing to, that you might be able to share, okay? Okay? So, and now I'm going to ask for 3 people who are willing to share what they were upset about and with whom. I don't need to know the name, but you know, who in your life were you upset with. So, are there 3 people that are willing to share that story? 1 there, thank you. 1, 2, 2, 3, okay? Great, thank you. So, what's your name, please?
My name?
Your name?
My name's Jody.
Jody?
Yeah.
Great, okay, Jody. Please tell me what happened, okay?
Okay, so...
Thank you for volunteering.
Okay. I was upset with a friend of mine.
A friend, okay?
Yeah, so I invited her somewhere.
Yeah.
And she dismissed it, and she didn't even address it.
But wait a minute. Fair enough, but that's not a story, that's kind of an analysis.
Oh.
What actually happened? What actually happened?
Like specifically what happened, right?
Yeah, what happened? So you invited her somewhere and she said?
Nothing at all. Okay, I'll be more specific, okay. So we have a group chat on our Blackberries, and...
This is online, or...?
Blackberry, like on the
Blackberry,
phone.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like 6 of our friends, and anyways, one person invited all of us somewhere, like to some comedy show, like days before, and no one really responded.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, I kind of invited everyone to my birthday.
Yeah.
And she responded that she would come to the first thing, but didn't even say anything about mine.
Okay, so she'd come to the...
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm down for the first one, but...
she didn't say...
just
but she said nothing about your birthday.
Yeah, like, have a good day, bye guys. That kind of thing. So it really made me upset.
And so you were upset by that. Okay, great. And I'm just going to ask you, so what was your emotional reaction to that?
Anger.
You had anger. What else?
I felt dismissed, but...
okay, now hold on. So remember I was talking to Kay or somebody before, or maybe Elaine. There's no such thing as feeling dismissed. Okay, that's not a feeling.
Okay, what is it?
Feelings are, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm hungry.
Oh, okay. I felt angry and hurt.
Okay, dismissed is a perception. It's a story. It could be right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just there's not a feeling. Okay? So you felt hurt?
Yes.
Great. Okay? Hurt. Very good. Thank you. Very good. And we'll come back to you. Thank you very much. The next volunteer was where? Over there. And what is your name, please?
Shelley.
Shelley?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your story, Shelley?
Recently, I was living with my partner.
Yeah.
And although it was mutually decided that he was going to move out and get his own place.
Yeah.
And we had talked about it, feelings. There was still a very big sense of abandonment for me to deal with after the move out.
So he did move out?
Yes, moved to his own space.
Okay, yeah.
And it was agreed that this was kind of what he had needed to kind of ground himself. And I thought that I would be okay with it, and turns out not so much.
Oh, so what did you feel?
So it was a bunch of feelings.
Yeah.
So a lot of sadness.
Sadness, okay.
And very much kind of hurt and
Sad-
anger.
Sadness, anger, and hurt.
Yeah.
So what happened is that your partner moved out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your partner moved out after mutual discussion. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And we'll come to our third volunteer now. And your name again?
It's Ranbir, R-A-N-B-I-R.
Okay, Ramdar.
My sister is estranged from the family
Okay.
due to difficulties.
Yeah.
And recently, due to my grandmother's health, was told of it and showed up and was explaining to my grandmother the reason that she won't, one of the reasons that she won't communicate with myself is that I've been a really shitty brother and that I didn't call her when my mother went to India and that...
She's saying this?
Yes, to my grandmother.
To your grandmother? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, yeah.
So my mother told this to me. And that I was never there for her as an older brother.
Yeah. And you felt?
Hurt, dismayed, also defensive and probably angry.
Hurt, angry, okay, defensive, fair enough. Thank you. So while you got the mic, so your sister says he was a lousy brother and never there for me and so on. What were you hurt and angry about?
Sorry?
What were you hurt and angry about?
Angry, I was angry and disappointed that after, I don't know how many years she's still separated from us, that, you know, in her, this is more, I feel that she's not moving beyond the past.
Okay, now, again, there's no such thing as feeling that she's not moving beyond the past. That's not a feeling. That's a point of view.
Okay.
You might be right, but it's not a feeling. It's a point of view. Why do you feel hurt and angry? Because she's not moving beyond the past.
The hurt is that we can't be brother and sister in a loving way in the present, and the
That's a bit too non-specific. You're actually feeling hurt by what she said. Why are you feeling hurt by what she said? You might feel sad about that. You won't feel hurt by it. Why do you feel hurt?
because in her mind it's true.
Yeah. So why are you feeling hurt by what's in her mind?
Because it prevents us from being,
Why does it hurt
Otherwise.
you, whatever she believes?
because she's my sister.
And?
And I love her.
Yeah? But I still don't get why you feel hurt. What does it mean that she says that you're a lousy brother? What does that mean about her relationship to you?
Means that I didn't help her.
That's how she understands it.
That's how I understand it. That's why I feel the hurt.
You feel hurt because you didn't help her.
Yeah.
Why do you feel hurt because you didn't help her?
I feel hurt because perhaps in
Okay, or let me ask you this way. What does it mean about you that you didn't help her?
that I didn't take responsibility.
And what does that mean about you?
That I don't take responsibility.
What does that mean about you?
That I don't like to take responsibility.
Well, that makes you very human. That just makes you very... how about it means that you're not good enough?
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Sure.
Okay? That you're not good enough. Very good. Thank you. Let's go back to Shelley now. So, your partner moves out. What do you feel hurt and angry about?
That he left. And I mean,
No. He left.
Yes.
What do you feel hurt and angry about?
That he left. I
No,
feel
no.
like I was abandoned.
Okay, now again, that's not a feeling. Feelings are I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm sad, I'm angry. Abandoned, that I'm abandoned is not a feeling. What is it?
I'm angry.
No, what is I am abandoned? It's not a feeling. What is it? It's a perception.
Yes,
It's a point of view.
yes. It's my point of view.
It's your point of view. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's still a point. It's not a feeling. The feelings are hurt and anger, right? And so you feel hurt and anger. And what does that mean that you're abandoned, by the way? What does that mean about you?
That there's some things that I need to think about.
I'm not asking you to analyze. I'm asking to the person being abandoned, the sense of being abandoned. What does that say about them, to themselves? Why would somebody abandon you?
Because there's some times where I didn't feel loved
Loved?
and was kind of left alone.
Yeah, and perhaps you're not lovable.
Yeah,
Yeah? Is that fair enough?
fair enough, yeah.
Okay, so you're not loved, or you're not lovable, or both, right? Thanks. And now going back to Jody, this friend who didn't respond to the birthday invite. Where are you? Sorry? What were you hurt and angry about?
How rude she was.
What's that? How rude she was?
Yeah.
So she was rude. Why are you hurt and angry because somebody else is rude?
It's just rude and disrespectful. I
So?
think. So what?
So why does that hurt you?
I just think it's rude. It's like bad manners.
Well, you may think that it's bad manners, and you may be right about that, but why do you feel hurt and angry about it? I mean, look, if I said that the tablecloth is white, is that true?
Yes.
Do you feel hurt and angry?
No.
Maybe your friend is rude. Maybe just how it is.
She's very rude.
Yeah, but so why you hurt? So why are you hurt and angry about that?
I guess because I care if.
Because
like,
what?
I care if. I didn't really want her to come, to be honest, but.
You didn't.
But.
Oh, you didn't want her to come to your birthday.
I put it out there. And I just feel like you should be polite enough to say no, thank you.
Okay, well that's your
I'm busy.
opinion about how she should be, but she's not in this world to be the person you want her to be.
Right.
Okay? Why do you feel hurt and angry, which is not the way you want her to be? What does that mean about you?
I like nice people. I don't know.
Okay, I'll go with this rude and angry stuff, but I think there's something deeper behind it. Okay? What are you making it mean about yourself?
I don't feel important. Is that what you said?
What's that?
It made me feel like I wasn't important.
That you're not important. Okay? Because you said you were dismissed, right? That's what you started with, that she dismissed you.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically, the thing is that I'm not important enough. Got that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So, Jody, here's what I'm going to ask you. No, well, before I go there, I'm going to ask the three of you to be quiet now, and I'm going to ask the rest of the room to help me out here. Let's start with Jody, and then we'll go back through Shelley, and then to Ranbir again. Let's start with Jody's story. I want you all to think about possible explanations for why the friend didn't respond to that invitation that may have to do with other reasons other than Jody not being important to her or her being rude. Okay, what might other reason might be? Yeah. She didn't notice the message. Okay? That's a possibility. We're not saying it's true, by the way. We're just looking at other possible explanations, right? Okay? What else? Yeah. She doesn't like parties, okay? That's another possibility. We don't know that that's true, but we're just looking at other possibilities here. Any other explanations? Yeah. She may not have felt that the invitation was being extended to her specifically. That's another possible explanation. Okay? Next one. She may have other plans. Okay? Yes. Exactly. Maybe she's speaking up about your own energy, because energetically you didn't want her there. It doesn't matter. People, you know, she knows you. She knows you energetically. You have this opinion on her that she's rude and this and that and the other. Maybe she does not energetically want to be around you to celebrate you because she's defensive. She's defending herself against your critical energy. Okay? These are some of the possibilities, okay? We're not saying any of this is true because we don't know. All we're saying is these are possible explanations, okay? Let's go back to Shelley now and reasons why the boyfriend might have moved out that has nothing to do with Shelley not being lovable. Yeah. It's what they agreed on. Yeah? Okay, yeah? What's that? He wasn't ready to commit to a relationship. He's still trying to grow up, and he's just not ready for it. That's another possibility. What else? Yeah. Yeah, he needed his independence. He's not independent enough yet. He's still trying to let go of mommy's apron strings, and you were mommy in this case. In fact, probably in some ways you were. So if it's a typical male-female relationship, you were the mummy in some ways. And so that maybe he's just trying to grow up a little bit, become independent. Not because you're not lovable, but simply because that's his journey right now, yes?
He may just want his space,
He
like
just
you
needed
guys agreed on.
Yeah, he needed some space for himself. Okay? Anything else? Yeah?
Maybe he wants to still be in the relationship, but he doesn't feel that he's, I guess, ready or worthy enough to be in there because he's not independent. So he wants to go out, get his independence, and then come back when he's feels he's man enough.
Maybe it's his journey towards authenticity. Okay? Can you accept these as potential explanations? We're not. Sorry? So you're still in a relationship. Well, there you go. Okay? So you can see that these are potentially valid, right? We're not saying which is true because we have no idea. He's not here. We can't ask him. But we're just saying these are potential explanations. Great. Let's go back to Rambir. Explanations for the sister saying what she said about how you were a shitty brother and you weren't there for her that have nothing to do with you not being good enough. Okay? What are the reasons why for the sister saying that? This is a tougher one, right? Any possible explanations for her saying that? Go ahead. That's her perspective that she's projecting onto you, but it's got nothing to do with you. That's a possibility. Okay? Anything else? Yes? So maybe she's defending herself against the shame of not being a good enough sister. And and many of us will rather blame somebody else than take the responsibility on for ourselves, as you yourself said. But it's got nothing to do with you not being good enough. Yeah. What's that? Just a bit louder. Okay, maybe it's her way of asking for attention and really trying to get you to finally pay attention to her some ways. Okay? That's another explanation. Another explanation is that in this family of yours, there might be multi-generational pain and trauma, which has come between the two of you, for no fault of hers and no fault of yours. It's just what's happened. So blaming you is her particular way of understanding, because she hasn't had family systems theory, and she hasn't understood how trauma is passed on to kids from the parents. But she doesn't get that. And so that maybe the sense of abandonment that she has by you is actually what she experienced from her parents. And she's projecting it onto you because she's afraid to project it onto her parents. So, there's one more explanation there, yeah? Yeah, okay. So, do you see these as potentially valid explanations? We're not saying which is true. Now, here's what I thank you all for these possibilities. Now, let me ask the three of you now a very difficult question, so I want you to think about it. Your mind came up with a certain explanation. One is that you're not important. You're being dismissed because you're not important. The others are all the explanations that you heard. Your mind came up with a certain explanation that you're not loved or lovable. Then you heard all these other potential explanations. Your mind comes up with this explanation that you're just not good enough. Then you heard all these other explanations. Of all the potential explanations for the other person's behavior, including the one that you came up with and the ones that you heard here, which is the most painful for you? Okay, do you understand the question? So Jody.
I don't think it's on. My own, I guess my own.
Your own.
Yeah.
Which is that you're not important, that you're being dismissed, right? Okay. Shelley, of all the potential explanations for your partner's leaving, the ones that you heard and the one that you came up with, which is the most painful for you?
Well, obviously myself.
What's that?
Myself.
The one you came up with yourself, right?
Just
that you're not lovable.
the work that I need to do on myself.
No, don't go to analysis now. Just, I'm talking about in the moment of upset. In order to understand you're upset in that moment. Which is the most painful explanation for what happened? The fact that you're not lovable, or is that he needs more space, for example?
Oh, that I'm not lovable.
Okay, in other words, the one you came up with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? And for you then, of all the possible explanations, which is the one we find most painful?
That she wants my attention.
That's more painful than that you're not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Because that kind of ties into not doing my part, so to speak, or not fulfilling the obligations of.
Well, look, you know what? If it's okay with you,
It is?
I don't buy it. The reason I don't buy it is if she wants your attention, that's actually a compliment to you. She's saying, I love this guy, I want him in my life. What's so painful about that? That's something to celebrate.
That it's going about this way and I'm not also responding to it causes.
Okay, but it's still about you not being good enough then.
Okay.
So that's the one that's most painful to you. In other words, of all the potential, no, here's what I want the three of you to notice. Well, let me ask you something. Jody, is this the first time in your life that you've perceived that you're not important, that you're being dismissed?
No.
No, it's not, okay? How far does it go back to?
I guess my childhood, I don't know.
Well,
You can say
how far can you recall it? Teenagehood? Earlier than that?
Well, I can't recall like specifically, but I'm sure
Does it
someone's done that to me before.
Does it feel very familiar to you?
Not that familiar.
No? Then what are you so hurt about?
Pardon?
Well, not that familiar, huh? So let me ask you this question. Did you ever feel sad or upset as a child?
Yeah.
Okay. Who did you talk to when you felt sad or upset?
No one really.
No one. Okay. Are you okay with this work?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have children?
Mm-hmm. I have a daughter.
How old?
She's 7.
7?
Yeah.
If she felt sad or upset, who would you want her to talk to?
Me.
Okay. If you found out that your daughter was sad or upset but didn't talk to you, how would you explain that? How would you understand it?
Maybe she didn't feel comfortable talking to me about it.
Why not?
I don't know.
Maybe because she wasn't important enough to you. Maybe because you're too busy or too stressed to pay attention to her. In other words, you would dismiss her. You didn't talk to your parents.
No.
Guess what your story is? You weren't important enough.
To my parents?
Yeah. Because if you had been, you could have talked to them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this story of yours of I'm being dismissed and I'm not important enough, it's not a new one. No, I'm not saying your parents meant to do that. I don't care what they meant to do. I imagine they meant to do their best. But somehow you got the message that you just weren't important enough, that your feelings mattered. Which is exactly the story that you bring to with your friend.
But does that happen sometimes where
No.
people are being rude and
No.
it's always your own whatever
It's always
happened
your own
to you?
stuff. Because if somebody's rude, all you see it. Let me ask you this way.
Because can't someone make you feel a way, or It's always whatever you're feeling
It's whatever you got there.
just comes. So if someone could like spill my
Well,
drink, and I'm like, oh, I'm not
let
important.
me ask you this question. If I said that, stay
No,
with me.
that's a real question. Like,
I know it's a
yeah.
genuine question that you're
Yeah.
asking. So stay with me. If I said to you that you are an orange bush,
Yes.
would you be hurt or upset?
No,
How come?
because it's not true.
Right. And how would you understand me saying that?
Something wrong with you?
So, exactly. Exactly. I'd have to be blind and somehow
Yeah.
disordered in my
Like,
thinking,
yeah, maybe
right?
you're hallucinating. Yeah.
But when somebody gives you the message that you're not important and they're being rude, how come you take that personally?
Because I feel like it's true.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not about them, it's about you. You see that? So that's what happens. Okay? Now, Shelley, in your case, first time in your life that you perceive that you're not lovable and abandoned? No, it goes way back, right? Yeah. Okay? And remember here for you, first time that you're not good enough, the first time you ever felt that?
Yep.
You never had that before?
No, yes, I have. I was saying yup into the thing and it wasn't
Okay,
working.
thanks. So here's what I want you all, and by the way, the three volunteers, they're standing for all of us. They just happen to be braver than the rest of you. Okay? But the story is always the same. So I want you to notice three things here. One is, none of you, first of all, that of all the possible explanations, you came up with the worst possible one. Number one. Number two, the worst possible one had nothing to do with the present, it had to do with the past, which means that none of you responded to the present, you were all reacting to the past. You weren't in the present at all. You were little kids, still in relationship to your parents. Now that's not a criticism, I'm just telling you how the human mind works. My mind, yours, everybody's. So you don't react to the present, you react to the past. You're not in the present moment at that time. And number three, it's not that you even do it. It's not that you chose that reaction. It's not that you or you chose that reaction. It's that this is automatic. Your brain went there automatically. So you don't do it. It's not that you went through consciously and said, okay, what are the possibilities here? Is it this, that, or the other? No. Your mind automatically went to that worst possible explanation. It's an automatic process. You don't do it. The brain does it. The mind does it. Why does the mind do it? Because those were the implicit beliefs that you acquired about yourself as a child. And here, decades later, that's what's showing up and having an impact on your most important relationships. It's also what shows up in your work very often. Now, the more personal you are with somebody, the more likely it is for those implicit memories to be triggered. But the point is to be aware. And you could actually do this exercise. This is actually a practice for you, should you choose to take it on. Is that the next time you find yourself upset with anything in your life, anything whatsoever, whether it's on the job, whether it's in personal relationships, when you've calmed down, not until you've calmed down, but when you've calmed down, sit down and go through this exercise. First question, what happened? Not that she dismissed me, that's not what happened. That's an interpretation. What happened was she didn't respond to the email. That's what actually happened. So write down what happened. Secondly, write down what was the emotional reaction. The emotional reaction is not that, oh, I think they're a jerk. That's not a feeling, that's an opinion. The emotional reaction is what you feel. Oh, I felt she abandoned me. And that's not a feeling. That's an interpretation. The feeling, when you think you're being abandoned, is of hurt and anger. So put on the emotional reaction. Thirdly, write down, and this is the difficult part, What is the interpretation here? Well, the interpretation is that I'm being abandoned. The interpretation is that I'm being dismissed. The interpretation is that I'm not lovable. And then write down other possible interpretations. And sometimes those are hard for you to think about because your mind is very much on one track. Like when I was fired, it took me a long time to come to the understanding that I created it myself. And until then, all I could think about is how unfair and blind and unjust they were. So if you can't think of other explanations, call up a friend that you trust and say, listen, I need some help here with this exercise. Just give me anything, other reasons why this person might have done what they did. What you find through this exercise, number one, is you get to know about your childhood. Just like Jody, you just learned something about your childhood. Because it's always about the childhood. Number two, you realize it's not about the present, which means you can stop stressing about it. And thirdly, it means that the more you do that exercise, the less upset you're going to get in the future. Because your mind is going to become more aware. And this is what the Buddha said, that then those two strong guys, those habit energies, will not have the same power anymore that they have right now. Okay? So that's the benefit of that particular exercise. Now, anything unclear about that? Any questions on that at all? Yes. Wait for the mic, please.
I'm not unclear. I'm following along. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm unclear about is in our work we encounter a lot of really wrong things that are really wrong.
Yeah.
And what do we do with the feelings? Like
Okay.
this process, like it's wrong. It's wrong.
So give me an
What
example.
happened?
Give me an example.
I don't know, childhood sexual abuse
Yeah.
that really messes somebody up for their whole life.
Right.
And you're witnessing the person's pain. Like what do I do with that? I just
And
feel like
what do you feel when you witness that?
taking on some of their emotions is probably definitely happening, but I just feel sad.
You
And
feel
it's
sad.
me, and I feel like I feel sad, but I feel like I might be taking on some of their pain. How do I deal with that?
Well, fair enough. And let me ask, what's your name?
Leah?
Leah? No, I'm going to ask a personal question, and I'm going to put you on a spot a bit, if
Go
that's
for
okay.
it.
But you don't actually have to answer it. Were you abused as a child?
No.
Not at all?
Maybe emotionally in some sense that I really don't think my father intended, but not sexually.
Okay. And nobody touched you sexually the wrong way?
No.
Not a stranger, not a friend,
No.
not anybody? Okay. Were you hit at all?
No.
Okay. When you say maybe emotionally, what do you mean by that?
My father was really, really hard on me. And I have a concept of not being good enough because of that. And I'm really hard on myself.
Okay. And emotionally, how did that hit you? How did that strike you, your father being hard on you?
I was never good enough the
Okay.
way I am.
So you were hurt a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
So I'm struggling, because I understand this, what
Yeah.
I'm repeating, I get it, but I don't understand how to deal with my strong emotions about other people's pain.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got
okay,
it. So
sorry.
that's the exploration that you initiated here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So since you've grown up, or since you've become an adult, maybe you haven't grown up yet, but since you've become an adult, it takes a while to grow up, you know. Still working on it. Have you learned a few things?
I'm learning tons of things right now, and
Okay.
in the past 2 years, yeah.
You've been learning a lot, okay? And as you learn, do you find that those old emotions, while they're still there, they're not quite as powerful in how they control you?
I think that maybe only within the past year have I seen it be a little bit less.
Okay, so you're seeing some possibility of liberation, right? Mm-hmm. You haven't fully experienced it, but you're seeing some possibility of it, is that right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that possibility also exists for the clients that you work with?
Yeah, that's why I'm really drawn to this.
Okay, so it exists for them as well. So the possibility of transformation and what you might say recovery exists for them as well. Mm-hmm. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's very good.
Is that a tragic thing or a happy thing?
It's a joyous thing.
Excellent. The only problem is that when you look at them, you only see the pain, but you don't see the possibility.
Okay.
Okay? Because you haven't fully embraced your own possibility yet.
Okay.
But you're working on it. You're getting there. As you recognize and celebrate your own, look, the very fact that you're having this conversation with me right now, my guess is that 3 years ago you might not have had it at all. You know?
I wouldn't have been brave enough to because I don't want to break down in front of people.
Exactly. You wouldn't have, you've been too defended, you wouldn't have allowed yourself to be that vulnerable, and you would have been too afraid. So that's a tremendous change. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you acknowledge yourself for it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you see that possibility in everybody else as well? Then there's nothing to be sad about.
You're right.
Okay? Or let me put it this way. Then you can have both the sadness and the joy at the same time. So all that's happening for you, I would say, is that when you look at their pain, you're seeing your own pain, but at that moment you're forgetting your own possibility, and therefore you're forgetting their possibility.
I'm learning how to hold both in the same place.
That's it. And that exactly is the answer to your question. Because it's totally normal for you to have the sadness.
Yeah.
If you can actually hold both the sadness and the possibility at the same time, then that's the very answer to the question that you asked. It's really that simple. Again, simple but not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Okay? So
Thanks.
what I'm also saying to you is that the more you continue on your journey, the more you will be able to see them from the perspective of possibility instead of just pain. And then the less identified you'll be with their pain, and the more, also the more you'll be able to help them. Because if I look at you, so if I looked at you only as this person who's in pain, would I be much help to you?
No, I would probably be pissed at you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's not true.
It's not true. It's not who you are. It's
Yeah.
also not who they are.
Exactly.
It's also not who they are. So you're totally on the right track. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank
That
you.
was great.
Thank you.